Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Triple M Pulling Truck Series here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Here tonight on this Feel Good Friday, we have chaos, we have calamity, we have roses here tonight at the LA Coliseum. Here tonight, this is the Nazareth Clash to kick off this series. I am joined tonight by Hunter Parsons, and Adam Fleeger is the man behind the decks here tonight. And Hunter, we're joining this series in qualifying right now. Bit of a different format here tonight as well. We're going to run some heat races in LCQ and then a featured race. How excited are you to kick off the series here tonight from the Coliseum?
I am absolutely stoked. 35 trucks, I believe, or 26 trucks on a little quarter-mile racetrack on a Friday night. It does not get any better than that. Like you said, absolutely calamity, and it's just going to be insane.
It is going to be insane indeed. And we're going to have just a couple of heat races here. It looks like qualifying has ended here from the Coliseum right now. We're just awaiting the start of the heat races. And Hunter, we're going to watch a couple of these heat races. We're probably looking at around 4 or 5 heat races as this goes through. From a driver's point of view, how important it is to put out a good performance in those heat races?
Well, it's going to be a big deal. And actually, we are starting qualifying right now. I do believe at a little bull ring like this, it's all going to come down to your qualifying time. If you put yourself out front early on, you're going to have a good chance to hopefully even stay up front. If you qualify towards the middle or the back, you definitely got your work cut out for you, as only the top 3 from the heat race are going to transfer before an LCQ. So qualifying time, very important, Will.
Very important indeed, as we're watching Cliff Branchard take the track right now. He is racing out of Clinton, Maine there in that 9 truck. And qualifying here at the Coliseum, Hunter, is interesting to say the least. It's I would like to say it's the shortest of the short tracks these drivers will ever see. Now we're hopping inside of Joey Dochet's 16 right here. And Hunter, I'm sure you have a little bit of experience at this track. What gets the job done at the shortest of the short tracks?
A lot of it is going to be luck. You need to be everything going your way. You just need to not get caught up into anyone else's mess. But luck, and at this track specifically, you got to have a lot of consistency. Very tight corners, short straightaways. You don't have a lot of room for any error.
No room for error indeed. And tonight's format, as we're watching qualifying take place here, each heat race will be 13 laps. As Joey or Hunter talked about there, only the top 2 drivers will move forward there. The LCQ race after those heat races will be 25 laps. And then the featured race here tonight will be 50 laps. And for those viewers that thinks, okay, 50 laps at the Coliseum, including caution flags, this race will fly by. But there was a quick rule adjustment before this race here tonight. Caution laps will not count in that featured race. So it doesn't matter how many caution flags fly, Hunter, we will keep counting it down to lap 50. These drivers will have 3 sets of tires on these trucks here tonight. 100% fuel capacity, so no worries about that at all here tonight. And almost Santa Claus came a little late, Hunter, as these drivers will get 1 fast repair in the featured race.
Yeah, typically not something you see here in Nazareth, but as mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a points event, so might as well give out a little bit of Christmas joy a little late to everyone with that extra quick repair.
Yeah, that is going to be Christmas joy indeed with that fast repair. We're now joined by the boss man himself, Brady LaBeouf. And Brady, we sort of touched on the chaos and calamity that we're going to see here tonight. We touched on what the format's going to be as well. What are you looking forward to the most here in this series particularly, as this is going to be a little bit of a sample, more like a fun race for these drivers? What are you looking forward to the most here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me in the booth for this time. I appreciate Adam, Will, and Hunter, you guys coming on board and broadcasting the races for us this season. This is a new season for us with you guys coming on board at Nazareth 360 Racing Network, so I definitely appreciate that. Tonight, man, it's just a fun race. It's the start to our speed weeks. The guys that want to race Daytona, so we figured we go to the Coliseum to have some fun. It's different territory for us in the trucks here, so we're going to give it our best. And playoff points. Top 5, you get playoff points plus cash, so a lot to race for, even though it is a fun race. But if I was going to be honest with you, this is our 6th season. We've got guys since the first season, since 3rd season, 4th season that's coming on board with us again. They just keep coming back, and I appreciate their commitment. I'm looking for some new players this season. Actually, it's kind of a time for some of them to kind of grow up and take that next step. I'm looking at guys like Jacob Klinghart, Jose Luis Rivera, Kyle Hess, Cody Knott, just to name a few, to be up front, week in and week out to mix it up a little bit more. I'm excited about some newcomers that we have coming in, like guys like Bill Halls, Jonathan Pugh, Jimmy Emos, some of those new guys that's joining the series, Dustin Castile. So it should be fun, but you can't count out guys like Keith Bradley, Tyler Dittmer, Robbie Richards, Adam Newbert, Stephen Thomas, past champion, Chris Cinnamon, Taylor Peacock, some of the veterans of this league. So I'm very excited about the whole group, and we should put on some good races for you guys.
Yeah, Brady, we touched on that format as well as we were taking a look at qualifying taking place right now. How is this race going to play out? As we talked about, there are going to be heat races of 13 laps. Do you know how many heat races we'll have and how many drivers? I think Hunter touched on that as well. 2 drivers will qualify into that main event, and then the rest of those drivers will move on to the LCQ. What are we looking at as far as field size in these heat races, and what are you looking forward the most as this qualifying session is ticking down here? Just a few minutes left to go. In those heat races, what are you expecting to see?
Yeah, I want to say, and I could be wrong and Hunter could be right, but I think nobody advances after qualifying to the A main. It should be qualifying. The single core run is just a lineup for heat races. I didn't get an exact core count. You might be able to help me out with that real quick, but I'm looking at maybe 20-ish to 24 people. And I'm thinking there's going to be 3 to 4 heats at most, and then they'll have a last chance qualifier if there's more than 24 guys in here, because I believe there's 24 for the A main. So if there's 24 and less, everybody's going to make it. And I'm gonna just let iRacing kind of modify. They tend to modify the heats. I'm looking at maybe 3 heats at most right now on my screen. So like I said, it's just a fun race. We never typically do heat races and B mains or last chance qualifiers in an A main, so it's kind of out of our element. But you always got to innovate, try something different, get the guys excited, not doing the same thing over and over again. Will.
Yeah, and Hunter, you touched on it here. It's more of like a good feel of a dirt race here tonight. The way we're breaking it down into those heat races, the LCQs, and then the main event, almost has a dirt track type of feel to this race here tonight.
Yeah, and it gives you certainly more chances than just qualifying to run up front, maybe even get some more laps before you go into that final event or the feature, as we would call it, and give yourself some more practice time around other cars, kind of feel it out, and ultimately just hope to learn each time you get out there.
Yeah, and we're watching qualifying ticking down here. I'm joined by Hunter Parsons and Brady LaBeouf here up in the booth here in the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. And I'll ask both of you guys here, whoever wants to answer first, I suppose. How important is this qualifying session? The viewers at home are watching this. Of course, you see Morris right there in that 47 with a 13.77 time. Of course, this is going to set the field for those heat races. Is this going to be any indication of what we're going to see, or is it just important to make sure you start first in your heat race?
I'll let Brady go if he wants.
Well, I've never. Hunter's maybe raced here before. I have not, to be honest with you. But if it was up to me, I'm wanting to put down a solid qualifying lap. I want to be on the front row or at third at worst in my heat to have track position. And, I want to kind of sit around and get, qualified and advance to that A main as soon as I can, so I can kind of wait around and maybe watch other guys race to see what they're doing. that I may not be doing to kind of give me something to work on for the A main. But yeah, I definitely think qualifying is important. Starting up front in your heat and then locking yourself in the A main as soon as you can is very, very important.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. You definitely want to put yourself in a better position to be upfront and kind of control your own fate. You certainly could have it possibly even go wrong, even qualifying good. It all depends what's going to happen going into that first turn. If the car behind you will check up or not, or I mean, a good lap only does you so much. You just need the rest of everything else to fall into your hands.
Indeed, as we're watching, we just got about a minute left in this qualifying session. Then we'll officially kick off those heat races here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And as Brady alluded to, this is the kickoff to our Speed Week event here. And Brady, you touched on it here. These drivers are racing for cash. Of course, everybody loves a little cash in their pocket, but also playoff points. So that's an interesting aspect of tonight's race.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we started doing this maybe about 2 or 3 seasons, Will. I know for sure the past 2 seasons we've done it. It was kind of just a theory in my head. I've always known that for the Daytona 500 qualifying, NASCAR would typically give out playoff points to drivers who start on the pole or the front row for that first lone qualifying run. So I figured, well, you know, let's do a clash, let's do duels and stuff like that, all-star races. But in order to kind of get the guys to show up for it, even though it's a non-points event, give them cash and put something, important on the line like playoff points because they're huge, right? It determines seeding and you kind of carry those points with you throughout the playoffs. So I wanted to make sure I gave the guys a reason to have to show up.
Indeed, but it looks like Brady, we are all formed up for heat race number 1. Of course, we just saw James Morrison that 47 lay down that 13.7. Clearly faster than the second place car of Joey Deschette right there in that 16. We have Devin Painter in this heat race as well. Justin Lumpkin will roll off 4th in this heat race. Cody Knott in 5th position, and Keith Haney in 6th here in heat race number 1. This will officially kick off this event from the Coliseum, the Cathedral, if you will, as the pace truck's going to take us on the backstretch here. These heat races will go very quickly here. 13 laps in the books. And Brady, before this green flag waves, will there be any caution flags or will caution laps count here in these heat races?
So I did take that off. So the caution laps will not count.
Ooh, there we go, Hunter. We got that awesome answer to that question. So it will just be a straight shootout for 13 laps here in heat race number 1. And it looks like with about a 6-car field, we'll be about just in the range of about 4 heat races, 5 heat races at most. But here we go. Barney the Flagman is ready to rock and roll, and so are we up here in the booth as James Morris will take us to the drop of the green flag, and heat race number 1 has officially kicked off. And what a jump it was from James down to corner number 1, down the backstretch as our race leader. James going to take us to round 3 and 4. Still as our clear race leader. We have some commotion there on the tail end of this pack right now. James will take us down to corner number 1 and 2, still clearly as our race leader. Anybody's trying to catch him right there. Of course, to be the top 2 that will advance. The rest of these drivers will go into that LCQ to race it down just a little bit more. Sometimes, though, racing an LCQ can give you just a little bit more experience, a little bit more things to work on in that main event. We do have a crash right on the front stretch here. We're still rocking and rolling. Give us just a minute. We'll have that ticker up on the screen here. But it looks like the caution flag has officially waved here. And that's Justin Lumpkin in that 27. No caution flag here on the racetrack, still racing it down here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We have just about 10 laps to go. James Morrison's trying to hold off that second place car. That looks like Joey right there. Joey's going to go to the inside as James makes contact with that topside wall. Down to 3 and 4 right now. And they make contact on 3 and 4. They're already wrecking here in heat race number 1. James Morris in that 47 machine is going to take us down to 1 and 2 right now. Justin Lumpkin's just going to ride this heat race out there, beating and banging doors down to corner number 3. We have 8 laps to go here in heat race number 1. Coming off of 4 right now. They're still slipping and sliding to this line. Big wreck on the front stretch right there. Joey's going to get the worst of that. Man, what a commotion here, Hunter, in heat race number 1.
Certainly, no one wants to lead this one, that is for sure. But like we said earlier, starting position is going to be everything. So finishing second or third, that's still going to put you starting almost 6th, 7th, 8th in that field. You want to be up front. So every spot, very critical. As we see, James Morris is going to get into the back of the 16 of Joey Doucette coming across the line. And the caution flag has come out on this one with just 6 laps to go. Wow, what a start to the night, huh, Will?
What a crazy start to heat race number 1 right now. I think you have to throw that caution flag for that instance. They were all tangled up. They were all piled up there on that front stretch. It looks like we'll have just about a green-white checkered here to end heat race number 1. And Hunter, I kind of posed that question here during heat race number 1. Of course, you spoke about it there. Even if you finish third here, you're still going to get a good starting position in that main event. But for these drivers that are at the tail end of this pack and you have to go to that LCQ, is racing in that LCQ going to give you maybe a slight advantage there because you're going to get more of a feel of the racetrack than some of these guys that are only going to race in maybe one heat race and then move on to the main event?
It could go either way for sure. It'll give you more seat time as we have talked about so far tonight, but you don't want to be in that LCQ because you still have that chance of not making it to the feature event. So very risky to be in that LCQ, but could certainly pay off if you aren't as comfortable right now running through the heat racing.
Yeah, right now we're under caution here with 5 laps to go. This is heat race number 1 right here. It looks like the 26 machine is leading the way. We have the 89 right behind him, the 18 as well. Looks like the 47's back there, and the 16 is going to be at the tail end of this pack here as we come down to corner number 1. Looks like caution laps do not count here in heat race number 1. As we come down the backstretch here, looks like the pace lights are off. We're going to go green flag racing when we come off of 4. There we go. Pace truck has pulled off. Going to go back racing here in heat race number 1. It was chaos. It was calamity. We only have 6 drivers on the racetrack right now. 5 drivers, excuse me, right now as we come down the backstretch down to corner number 3 and 4. 26 machines leading the way right now with those purple rims looking all styling and profiling. We have about 3 laps to go here in heat race number 1. Coming around the corner right now, the 26 is starting to separate just a little bit from that second place truck right there as we come around the corner right now. Still our clear leader on the racetrack down to corners number 1 and 2. Hunter, looks like we have just about 2 laps to go here in heat race number 1.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, having all that track position, a good qualifying lap, starting up front is going to be everything. Well, as it looks, it's in this heat race, it's not it. I'm not sure what happened here. It looks like might have been a pause on the stream there.
No, I think what happened was for the heat races they are counting the caution laps, so they had a green-white checkered there. So whenever they came to the line, it was green flag, white flag, and then the end of the heat. So I'm guessing that for the A main feature, it's the caution flags don't count.
Okay. But yeah, as we talked about earlier, having that track position, it totally flipped on the field as your almost worst qualifier of the night ended up winning that heat race, Cody Knott. So great job to him having everything go his way. But as we are getting ready for our second heat race, let's look at our starting lineup. On the pole, we're going to have Chris Blanchard to his outside teammate, Chris Cinnamon. Starting that second row inside the 86 of Kyle Hess, and next to him, the 4 of Adam Newbert. Behind them in our final row is going to be the 48 of Robbie Richards, and newcomer to the league, the number 85 of Jimmy Emos. So out of this one, we're going to have 13 laps, and we are going to be looking for the next 3 cars to lock into tonight's A main event. We got a little bit of lining up situation here before we go green. as the pace car is going to dive down. Not sure what is going on with Jimmy Emos, but we are going to take the green going into turn 1. Oh no, car spins out in front of your leaders and piles up everyone. Caution flag is going to come out for this one. Not a good start to your second heat race, but luckily for Chris Blanchard, that is going to be having our lap ticker continue on, just ticking away those laps. Rough start to the start of this second heat race, but here at the Coliseum, we expected none the less for sure. It has been a wild night so far as you are watching the second heat race of tonight's 5 heat races on track, trying to lock in the next 3 qualifiers. Nothing has changed upon our order so far after that first lap, as we are currently coming to 7 to go this time by. 9 to go, my bad. We are going green this time by. Chris Blanchard is going to lead him back to the green. Whoa. Pace truck is back out on the field. Brady, what do we have going on right now?
Well, I mean, it's a tough track, for some. Some probably, I'm hearing guys just buying the track, 5 minutes before the race starts. So, you got guys that's, working all day and they trying to get in the race tonight, and sometimes it goes that way.
Yeah, and caution flags at the Coliseum. How hard is it to get everything lined back up in such a short time?
Yeah, it's tough, but and I was just about to express, there's a lot of heavy hitters in this group right here. You got Chris Blanchard, Chris Cinnamon, Adam Newbert, Robbie Richards, Kyle Hess. You got potentially 5 playoff drivers right here in this one heat.
Yeah, certainly not an easy heat race to transfer your way through, as we see the 9 of Chris Blanchard leading him off through this one. The 48 of Robbie Richards still holding down the second, or Chris Cinnamon, my bad, holding down the second spot with Robbie Richards in hot pursuit in that third and final transfer spot. Still looking for more as we have 5 to go. Newbert and Kyle Hess just hoping for a prayer coming to these last few laps. Coming off of turn 4, we are looking at your battle for 4th and 5th between Newbert and Hess. Currently battling for that second spot is Robbie Richards with Chris Cinnamon. Everyone pretty single filed out, separated, just trying to be confident and comfortable in their transfer positions. However, if I know Robbie Richards, he is not content with third. He is going to want a few more spots on that grid in that A main event. As we have just 2 laps to go this time by, Chris Blanchard is looking to go flag to flag as he comes off of turn 4. Looking for your white flag. Oh my, yeah, last lap. Chris Blanchard is hoping to get through 3 and 4 clean. And he is gonna do it. Chris Blanchard goes flag to flag to win heat race number 2 with Chris Cinnamon in the second spot and Robbie Richards coming home third. Those are your transfer cars. Newbert and Hess are going to have to come through an LCQ later on for sure.
Yeah, and Hunter, that was a lot more clean of a heat race that we saw right there. Heat race number 1, we had a lot of pile-ups, a lot of craziness, a lot of door-to-door banging going on. That was very clean out of Chris Blanchard there to go flag to flag, as you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely a cleaner heat race and just makes it a lot easier not having to worry about someone breathing down your neck the whole time, trying to force it into the corner. Everyone just kind of respected where they were at, knew they were in, and didn't really want to push it any further than what they had to, as 50 laps later is certainly a long time when you have 24 trucks on this little racetrack.
Indeed. Now we're taking a look at heat race number 3 right here. We have Dana Shepard going to roll off first here in that 45 machine. Blake Lothian in that 43 is going to roll off second. Johnny Lawrence in that 77 will roll off third. Huck Whittington will roll off fourth in that 00. And it looks like there's one more car, and that's Sickles. And that 22 will be our 5th car here in heat race number 2. We'll have 13 laps here in heat race number 3. 13 trucks, excuse me, here as the pace truck will take us down around the corner here one more time. We're waiting to drop the green flag here from Barney the Flagman, almost in a forklift here at the Coliseum, Hunter.
Yeah, that's certainly a little different than what we see at different racetrack venues across the circuit.
Indeed, here as we're waiting for everybody to go ahead and grid up. Sickles needs to get up to the rest of those trucks if he wants a good restart here or a jumping off here for the green flag. But right now, here we go. We're going to the drop of the green flag right now. Officially, heat race number 3 has begun right now. We have a big battle up at the top right now. We have Blake Lothian and Shepard that are side by side. Watch this battle take place on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Blake Lothian here coming in with a lot of experience. He's an actual truck series driver in real life. So one of those names to watch out for in this series. Although this is the Coliseum, a lot of tricky things can happen as he's making contact with Shepard there on the outside. Blake Lothian, though, is still trying to dive to the inside of this racetrack. He is door to door with Shepard right now into corner number 1 here with 11 laps to go. He keeps slamming those brakes under the corners here as we're down the backstretch right now, down to 3 and 4. Blake Lothian still a race leader in that 43 truck. He's holding off Shepard right behind him in that 45. It is a race of 40s up here at the top of the grid. The 43 truck of Blake Lothian here will take us down the stretch, makes contact with the outside wall, though, holds that truck together as we come around the corner here with 10 laps to go. Blake Lothian still our race leader. Sickles, though, is way off the pace in that 5th position. Right there behind them, we have Lawrence in that 77 and Whittington in that 00. Looks like we have a pile up in the corner, though, right here with 9 laps to go.
Unfortunate for Dana Shepard there, just I believe got on the brakes a little too hard, and truck just came around and on him, and fortunate enough, he's still got a few laps here to get back up to those top 3 spots, as Johnny Lawrence is going to jump up to the 2 spot. Huck Whittington 3rd, Sickles in the 4, and Dana Shepard is going to have to go to the tail end of this field with just around 5 laps to go, I believe, when we get the green flag.
And what a big momentum shift for Sickles there. We saw him off the pace there, the drop of the green flag, way off the pace here as we were racing around. And now, as you mentioned, Hunter, all he has to do is make one pass, and he is locked into that feature event. All you have to do is finish inside the top 3, and you are good to go. Here was 7 laps to go here in heat race number 3. We saw what Blake Lothian was doing there, Hunter. He was slamming the brakes down to the corner.
Yeah, he's definitely charging those corners as you need to if you have someone right behind you. You don't want to almost get shoved into the corner because that's where we see a lot of that bump and run action. So he's putting himself further out there, but when it comes to that 50-lap feature, he's going to have to really watch how he applies that brake pressure. You don't want to wear through your tires. You don't want to have to take a set unneeded, if I may. So he's doing a great job doing what he needs to do to put himself in a good spot for that A main later. But I just am very curious on how he's going to tackle that feature event later on tonight.
Yeah, right now as we come across the line here, the pace truck's still leading us around. We're just awaiting the trucks to go ahead and get re-gridded up here. It looks like we're going to have just about 5 laps to go here in heat race number 3. And there we go. We are 2 by 2 once again. We're going to have Blake Lothian at the top of this grid. We have Lawrence right next to him in that 77. Whittington in that 00, and Sickles right there as well. Shepard in that 45, though, it's not all sealed up for him. He can still make a big pass as Barney the Flagman is waving up in his forklift. As we dig down into corner number 1, we have 4 laps to go as Blake Lothian in that 43 truck will take us down the backstretch as our race leader. We get piled up just a little bit coming off of corner number 2. Blake Lothian, though, is clear and free at that top position. Lawrence right there in that 77, and we have Whittington in that 00 right behind him. These guys look like they're content. Oh, no! Blake Lothian wrecks coming off the corner. He does wreck here with 3 laps to go. Lawrence takes the lead here. Whittington to 2nd right there. Sickles to 3rd. Oh my goodness, does that Yahtzee shuffle the grid up here with 3 laps to go?
Unfortunate for Dana Shepard going up and over on the backstretch, and he is going to be out of it for this heat race. Not quite sure what happened with the 43 of Blake Lothian. Maybe just came off of turn 2 a little too hard on the throttle, and that truck just snapped loose on him. Absolute melee behind the 43.
And that's a shame there from Blake Lothian. That 43 truck was really showing his stuff here in heat race number 3. Clear leader throughout tonight's race with the drop of the green flag, or throughout tonight's heat race here. It was really clean. He was slamming the brakes a little hard on the entry of those corners. We could see that white smoke coming off those Goodyear Eagles there. But like you said, Hunter, could have been that he just tried to get on that gas just a little bit hard. That truck snapped from underneath him. He made contact with the outside wall. And how tight we're racing here at the Coliseum, you are bound to collect somebody else in this. But it looks like we're going to have essentially a green-white checkered here to end heat race number 3.
Yeah, what a crazy end. We had the first heat was absolutely insane. Second heat race is very calm, collected, and we're back here at heat race number 3, and we have an up and over truck on the backstretch. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in heat 4, 5, and the rest of the racing.
Yeah, right now we have a green-white checker waiting for everybody to get re-gridded here 2 by 2 here on the racetrack. Looks like the pace truck will take us around. Looks like one more time as you see the 77 of Lawrence going to go to the inside here, waiting to see who takes that outside track. Looks like it's going to be Whittington and that 00 and Sickles. As I mentioned, a truck that was way off the pace to start this heat race off now is in that clear position to go ahead and qualify for that main event. But now as the pace truck is going to take us down to 3 and 4, looks like we will go green flag racing here as we come off the corner here, and we will. Barney the flagman is ready in his forklift, and so are we up in the booth as Lawrence in that 77 will take us down to corner number 1 and 2 down the backstretch right now as our race leader. We have 2 laps to go here in heat race number 3. That 77, all he has to do is keep that thing clean, and he is good to go for that main event. Here comes Blake Lothian though in that 43 truck. He's now in position as well. As we have a wreck. That's Whittington in that 00 down in the corner. Doesn't matter though, this is the white flag as Lawrence in that 77 will take the checkered here in heat race number 2. Blake Lothian in second, and it looks like right now Sickles will get that 3rd position here in heat race number 3.
What another crazy ending to that one. But I do want to mention one thing I noticed there. We did see our first pass on the outside by Blake Lothian. He made a charge around the 00 of Huck Wingington going into turn 3. Coming down the front stretch, they made that little bit of contact and sent Huck around. But we haven't really seen any outside groove passing so far tonight. Been all
Not
bump
at
and
all,
runs.
but that goes to show the experience of Blake Lothian to be able to pull that move off there in heat race number 3. But there we go, Hunter. We're kicking off heat race number 4.
Heat race number 4, as you mentioned, on the racetrack now, getting ready to double them up and go green on the pole. This one, we're going to have the 29 of Keith Bradley, and to his outside, the 19 of Jonathan Pugh. Second row of the 13, Michael McKinnon, and to his outside, number 11, Derek Kilgore. Rounding out the field in that 5th and final spot is going to be the 53 of CJ Fonda, one of the newcomers to the Nazareth League. Excited to see what he can do throughout the season, as he had a good showing last week at Talladega in the race to the Clash. Barney is going to be coming by this time, giving them the 1 to green. Pace truck lights are off as we are going to be getting ready for heat race number 4 of 5 to set green. They are coming down the backstretch now. Pace truck ready to dive in behind pit wall. Keith Bradley, Jonathan Pugh leading them to the green in heat race number 4. Barney is waving the green, and Keith Bradley gets an amazing jump on Jonathan Pugh, getting down into turn 1. As we have contact behind him, it looks like the 19 is going to get a little bump and run and be facing the opposite direction. Unfortunate for the 19. Keith Bradley is going to be asking himself paper or plastic, because he is being checked out right now, as Derek Kilgore is going to go from the 4 to the 2 spot only after the first lap. First and second, very comfortable in a transfer spot. We are all eyes on the 29 right now, making his way down the backstretch. We do have a little bit of a battle shaping up for that 3rd spot between Michael McKinnon and CJ Fonda. CJ just can't seem to get to the back of that 13 to make anything happen as McKinnon is going to pull away going down the backstretch. However, CJ does close in on corner entry. '29 of Keith Bradley still out front, showing strong as Derek Kilgore seems to be closing the gap ever so slightly. Not much has changed in your order from the drop of this one, other than the unfortunate accident with Jonathan Pugh putting himself in the back of this one.
Yeah, Hunter, you know, it looked like they had a little mishap right there at the beginning of the start, and it kind of got them spread out. So, but Kilgore's not giving up, man. He keeps on inching away at that lead on Keith Bradley.
Yeah, for sure. Kilgore he's definitely been impressing
Oh,
me.
and I think he lost.
Announcer's curse, it never fails. As we have mayhem on the backstretch, a car sitting down there as your leader is approaching him. Keith Bradley gets by clean, as I believe that was the 53 of CJ Fonda getting turned around in front of the field. That is going to move Jonathan Pugh up one spot, and Michael McKinnon still into that transfer spot. Not much else has changed, as they are going to be getting the 3 to go this time by Keith Bradley, showing a 2.5 second lead, 2.8 that time by Derek Kilgore, still in that 2 spot. Michael McKinnon in the 3.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Blue Line Racing come to play tonight, Hunter. You know, they showed some speed with Kilgore, CJ Fondon, and Johnny Lawrence winning that last heat race.
You can definitely tell the teams who have been putting in the practice, isn't that right, Brady? Keith Bradley is coming across turn 4 now. He is going to get that checkered flag from heat race number 4. Derek Kilgore is going to come home second. Michael McKinnon third. Jonathan Pugh, as he's coming off turn 4, will finish in that 4 spot. And unfortunate for CJ Fonda, finishing out in the 5th spot. Your 3 lock-in cars from that one again: Keith Bradley, Derek Kilgore, and Michael McKinnon.
Yeah, and it looks like, Hunter, you're getting all the clean heat races here. Nothing crazy about that heat race at all. No commotion, no yellow flags at all in that heat race. Everything that you are getting so far is squeaky clean here in these heat races.
Some about them even number heat races, I tell you.
And right now, as we're about to kick off heat race number 4, right now we're looking at the starting grid for heat race number 4 here on the racetrack. Looks like Ed Osborne will take us through the racetrack as our race leader. Looks like a very small field. Looks like this will be the end of our heat races, as we only have 4 trucks in this heat race, Hunter. And, you know, looking at these heat races so far, what have you seen so far out of these drivers tonight?
A lot of drivers, I have seen a lot of patience. I would have expected a lot more of that bump and run aspect to gain a few spots. Haven't seen a whole lot of that, just a lot of misfortune and trucks getting turned sideways. But overall, I've been very impressed with, as Brady has mentioned before, they've never come to the Coliseum. So I'm very impressed with how everyone's adapting very quickly and just how smoothly overall it has been for tonight.
Yeah, if you look at this field right there, we have Bullock in that 17. We have Hartwick right there as well. Osborne at the top right there. We have, looks like LaBeouf is in there as well in the mix. Of course, he's not in this field as he is up here in the broadcast booth with us here tonight. We have Hagen right there. So, you know, for the last heat race, this does have a who's who mix of drivers in this race here. The final heat race here before we kick off the main event.
For sure. And one car I would keep your eye on as of late is your race to the Clash winner on the pole. This one, Ed Osborne. He had the win last week, as I mentioned, at Talladega. He put in a good time tonight. He has certainly been stepping up his game as of late. As he brings him to the green flag down into turn 1, Ed Osborne is going to lead the field in that 42 machine.
Yeah, pretty clean so far as he takes us down to 3 and 4. You see the other drivers starting to feel each other out right there. You see Bullock in that 17 starting to feel out positions as well. But the more they separate each other here, Hunter, as we dig around 1 and 2 right now, we've seen it in your heat races here. If you can separate yourself, you can fan out just a little bit, you can essentially cruise to a heat race victory.
For sure. It's just all about staying consistent, hitting your mark, because as we saw that last time coming through 3 and 4, Ed Osborne in the 42 missed his entry a little bit, and it totally just messes up the apex, the exit to your corner, and ultimately it could mess up your next entry. So very hard to get back into your rhythm as we see him get on the brakes a little too hard in 1 and 2 and shoots up the racetrack and is going to open the door for Hartwick.
Oh!
Slider from the 24 machine of Hartwick.
Yeah, Hartwick wants his heat win. You can tell right there. But we almost saw the similar aspect to this from Blake Lothian in that 43. Hit the brakes into the corner, trying to make it pass. Actually tap that top side wall. Spawn out here, but with 8 laps to go, now we have Hartwick leading the way. It doesn't look like Osborne wants to give up on this heat race victory either, but it looks like right now, Hunter, we have a clear set of 3 trucks at the top of this grid here, making 7 laps to go.
Yeah, the 42 of Ed, he was not willing to give that one up so easily, but now he's got to worry about Brandon Bullock from behind him. He's going to go from offense to defense in a hurry, as he does not want to put his transfer position in any jeopardy, as they have just 5 laps to go that time by.
Yeah, right now is Hardwick still is our race leader in that 24 truck. We come around the corner right now. He does get that 5 to go sign. And you see Osborne in that 42 right there and Bullock in that 17. Watch out for Bullock in that main event. Very strong inside these trucks. Very strong in that 17 machine as we come around the corner right now to the start finish line. Make it 4 to go now. And it looks like we have a little bit more of a calm pace here in this final heat race, Hunter. It looks like these drivers are okay where they're at on the track.
Yeah, it all just comes down to how bad do you want that transfer, how bad do you want those extra 5 spots, as we have 5 heats. Each position you lose from the leader is another couple spots from the following heat race. So how bad do you want those 5 spots, or how bad do you just want to sit there, ride it out, and wait for your time come that feature event?
As right now, as Hardwick is still as our race leader, he will get that white flag here in the final heat race before we go to the LCQ, the last chance qualifier. Hardwick will take us around 1 and 2 as our race leader. Looking at Ed Osborne in that 42 machine and Bullock in that 17 will be our top 3 in this heat, as Hardwick takes the heat race number 5 here as our race victor, and Ed Osborne in that 42 will come home second and Bullock will come home third. Those were the 3 trucks that will qualify for that main event. Now it's time for that LCQ, Hunter.
Yeah, and I do believe we are going to have only 9 trucks lined up for this one, as 10 and 11 are not going to be gridding, as one of them is Brady up here in the broadcast booth with us. So 9 spots, and I am getting word from the race control in iRacing that the top 9 will make the feature. So if everyone does grid up, everyone will transfer to tonight's main event. So ultimately, this is all going to be for starting position.
Yeah, battle for starting position here. This LCQ race will be 25 laps, so just a little bit more than what we ran in those heat races. But looking at the starting grid right now, we have Joey Deschette right there at the top. Adam Newbert will start second. Huck Whittington in third. Jonathan Pugh in fourth. Dane Hagen in 5th, James Morris in 6th, Kyle Hess in 7th, Dana Shepard in 8th, and CJ Fonda in 9th. And we see Brady LaBeouf in the field. He won't be racing as he's up in the air in the booth with us, but Keith Haney will be taking the track here in this LCQ.
Yeah, and being that we're going to have 9, 10 cars on the track, we're going to get a little bit more of a feel of how that 24-car feature event is going to be coming up shortly. So very eager to see how we're going to have the racing be with more trucks on the racetrack. If it's going to be a little bit more hectic, I'm sure. What are you thinking?
I think so too here, as we have a lot of very talented drivers in this LCQ. You know, looking at names of James Morris, Adam Newbert there, you know, Joey Deschette, Jonathan Pugh. A lot of these drivers could go on to, you know, rack up multiple victories during this season here in the Triple M pulling truck series here. This is the Nazra class. You know, but like you said, Hunter, this will give us a great indication of what we will see in that main event. You know, will we see a lot of trucks starting to pile up here? Will we see a lot of drivers give each other respect, kind of back off a little bit on these corners, or will it just be all out racing here at the drop of the green flag?
Yeah, as the pace truck now comes off turn 4, Joey Doucette is going to be taking that green flag, leading him down into turn 1 with Adam Newbert on his outside. And we're going to be 3 wide off of turn 2 for the race lead. Oh no, Joey Doucette is going to get hooked and turned to the inside wall. Just not sure quite what happened, what initiated it all, but I did see 3 wide and just not a lot of real estate there, Will.
Not a lot of real estate indeed, and it's almost like what I called right before the drop of that green flag. Will we see these drivers really give each other respect there on the corners? Didn't look like that right there, Hunter, as we went 3 wide on lap number 1, and that caused a pileup already here. But I think you touched on it there. With more trucks in this LCQ, you know, in the main event, we're going to have probably in the range of about 20 trucks taking this track. We've seen so far what 5 trucks can do at this track, never mind 20.
Yeah, and I do believe, looking at the future grid for the feature, we are going to have 24. So lap traffic's certainly going to be a big thing. Just the amount of trucks and the amount of chaos, as we already saw there on lap 1. So definitely going to be a big patience game, or will it be a more hectic get to the front game as soon as you can?
Yeah, right now as we're in this LCQ, we'll run about 25 laps here in this LCQ. The first caution flag flew here and lap number 1 there, Hunter. So very quick with the caution flags already. But Barney the flagman is ready in his forklift, and so are we up here in the booth. Looks like we'll run 1 more caution lap here as the pace lights are off of that pace truck. Adam Newbert is our race leader right now in that Ford truck. We have Pugh in second. We have Morris in third, Hagan in fourth, and Dochette in fifth. And as you touched on, Hunter, all these drivers will make that main event, so no eliminations being taken place here in the LCQ. It is more so a battle for position in that starting grid. But here we go as we come down the backstretch. The pace truck is ready to pull off, and so are we. Looks like we'll have 1 more lap under caution here, Hunter. What are you looking forward to when we go under green?
I'm keeping my eyes on that 47 of James Morris. He was your quick time tonight, had that unfortunate incident in heat race number 1, started 6th in this LCQ, and he's already up to 3rd with, I believe, ultimately 3rd is the best starting position on this racetrack. I don't want to be that leader. I don't want to be that first car into that corner. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on that 47 to see if he can put himself back in a position to get back up front in that A main and ultimately win this thing.
With a huge restart there from Adam Newbert in that 4. Gets that rocket down into the corner. Although Pugh's right there already to his outside in that 19 truck. We have a side-by-side battle for the lead right now into corner number 1. This is Adam Newbert. This is Pugh on the outside in that 19 truck. Adam Newbert's going to squeeze him just a little bit there on the corner. There goes Newbert around corners number 3 and 4 right now across the line here. Make it 17 laps to go. Adam Newbert gets loose in the corner. He's slipping and sliding, and he slides right into that top side wall, makes contact hard with that nose. No caution flag on the racetrack though, Hunter, right now, as Pugh is now our race leader in that 19 truck.
Yeah, not sure what happened with the Ford. Just looks like he stepped the rear end out a little bit going into turn 1 and just a little bit too much overcorrecting at a slow speed like that, and just couldn't hold on to it. Fortunate enough for him to get it straight and stay out in the 3rd spot, as the top 5 right now are all single filed out. Jonathan Pugh leading the field off at turn 2 in front of the 47 of James Morris. Nice and easy as we have 15 to go, 14 this time by. Pretty much everyone in the field single filed out. Don't really see any battle shaping up. I do believe we have a side-by-side battle for that 5th spot between CJ Fonda and Huck Wigington, but ultimately nothing really too drastic going on in the field.
right now, and you touched on it, Hunter, a lot more calm pace here in this LCQ. And for Pew, though, I'm pretty impressed that, of course he's not racing against other trucks right now as he has a clear lead up at the top of this grid. But he's hitting his marks pretty clean. He has a big run off of 2 right there. Of course, Morris was our fastest qualifier right there. Got into a little bit of a commotion there in his heat race, rolled off first in the heat race. We have a caution flag now out on the racetrack with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, caution came out late on that one, coming out of turn 2. Not sure who is backwards facing the field. Lucky enough for Jonathan Pugh and John Morris, they did not make contact with that lap car. Very hard to see. Will cars spun out off the corner with how tight these corners really are. It really just sneaks up on you. So getting on the brakes in a short hurry, very difficult here.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the drivers even knew the caution flag was out on the racetrack. We didn't know either. As we check out this replay here on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network, and you see that 38 truck right there. Looks like just going to come into the corner just a little bit too hot, and just that thing's just going to swing around on them. But here comes the leaders right here on the racetrack. They're going to see the 38. The 38 is going to park it right in the middle of the racetrack there. There's the 19, and you see James Morris right there in the 47. Adam Newbert has to avoid him as well. Man, but we have a caution flag here in the LCQ. Just a few laps to go here as we're counting it down here. You're not racing for any elimination. You're not racing for the last spot, if you will, Hunter. More so position on the racetrack. But what we're watching there before that caution flag flew, these drivers are very calm, cool, and collected the way they were just kind of sort of skating around this track.
For sure. Like we keep mentioning, not racing for anything, just that starting position. But at some point, you want to try and start up as far as you can, because starting that further back puts you at a greater risk to go a lap down quicker, as those leaders are going to have fresh track in front of them. Meanwhile, those cars starting 18th on back to 24th going to have a hard time getting going, getting up to speed, getting up to pace. So definitely do not want to be starting that far back for sure.
Not at all here with 7 laps to go here. Watching everybody getting reset here as the pace truck will lead us around the racetrack here. We see Barney the flagman inside his forklift there at the start-finish line. Right now, our leader on the racetrack is Pugh inside that 19 truck. We have Morris right there in that 47 currently in second. Adam Newbert in that 4 is currently third. Dochette is currently 4th on the racetrack. And Whittington in that 00 is 5th. You saw Whittington's run in that last heat race. Unfortunately, didn't qualify. He got tagged up as well. And for a lot of these drivers here, they had excellent heat races, excellent qualifying times, but just unfortunately got tagged up at the end of their heat races.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, having an LCQ gives you that extra little bit of chance to give yourself a little bit more practice, get yourself a little bit more track position when it comes later on. As we go back green, Jonathan Pugh is going to get a nice little jump going into turn 1. With the 4 in hot pursuit on the inside of James Morris, as we are going to be wrecking behind the leaders. Joey Doucette in pit lane with, I can't tell who that is behind him. Looks like it is going to be the 00 of Huck Wigington again. Him and Joey Doucette not making any friendships this LCQ. As we are on board with Huck Wigington, he is going to get to the inside of Joey Doucette. Gets on the brakes and just gets hooked from the right rear quarter panel, it seems. Oh, Joey Doucette gets a little bump going into turn 1. Just gets in the back of Doucette and sends Huck Wigington and Doucette in the 16 around. Unfortunate for them, as we are going to be going to a green-white checkered at the end of this LCQ.
Yeah, right here at the end of the LCQ. And Hunter, you touched on it before the green flag flew here in the LCQ of what we're going to see here with more trucks on the racetrack. And you touched on how we're going to have about 26, about 28 trucks there in that main event. Boy, it looks like it's going to be more so of a demolition derby here at the Coliseum than it is a clash.
Yeah, good thing old Santa Claus, as we mentioned earlier, brought in that extra fast repair, I do believe some drivers are going to need them later on.
It's almost like an over-under of how long we're going to stay green there in that main event. How many laps so we can continue around this racetrack before somebody gets entangled, somebody snaps that truck around there on the corners. As right now, looks like we're going to try to get gridded up here for that green-white checkered here. This is the LCQ here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. This is the NASRA class from the Coliseum. This is officially the kick-off point here of Speed Weeks. Of course, we're going to go to Daytona next week to sort of get that super speedway racing out of the way, and then of course we'll have a main event in just a few weeks time for that as well. But right now that 19 truck is ready to go, and so are we. We'll see everybody go ahead and get 2x2 here next time by as we go across the start finish line one more time. And what I'm seeing so far, Hunter, is these drivers, this track's hard. I gotta say that. It's a difficult track. Brady touched on it when we started this broadcast off tonight. Some of these drivers actually purchased it right before we went on air here tonight. So a lot of these guys are getting their first taste at this racetrack.
Yeah, it's certainly not an easy track to get around. It's a lot of rhythm, a lot of hitting your marks, as we keep mentioning, but it's certainly not just a Daytona where you hop in and go, so definitely takes a little bit of practice, some seat time, and hopefully at the end of the 50 laps, we can see a really good battle towards the end of that.
Right now, the pace lights are off of the pace truck right now. We are 2x2 at the grid right now. As we come off a 3 and 4 pace truck pulls off, we'll have a green white checkered here to end this LCQ as we... Oh, looks like we went ahead and ended that LCQ early there.
I do believe we're on a replay from that last caution, so we do have a 2-minute warm-up here for some people to just go to the bathroom, take a quick break, do what they need to as before we get ready for this main event.
And Hunter, do you know who won that LCQ there, or?
It was actually James Morris. Going into one on that last restart, Jonathan Pugh got on the brakes a little too hard and pushed up the racetrack. And between him, Newbert, and Morris, just calamity erupted between the three of them.
And we see right now, looks like we have our starting grid set for this main event. And there's the consolation results right there. As you were just touching on there, Hunter, James Morris will win that LCQ. Jonathan Pugh in second. We have Joey Wright there is going to finish third. Huck Whittington in fourth. Kyle Hess in fifth. CJ Fonda in sixth. Adam Newbert in seventh. Dane Hagan in eighth. Dana Shepard in ninth. And it looks like Keith Haney and Brady LaBeouf are both race control here tonight. Hunter, we are all done with our heat races. We're all done with the LCQs. What's your take so far what we've seen from the Coliseum?
I am speechless because I don't know what to expect going into this main event. We haven't seen 24 cars on this racetrack yet, but overall, I would say that everyone has done a fairly good job at trying to keep it green, keep it racing, and everyone's doing a fair amount of give and take, but now it's main event time and gloves are off. It's time to go and get up to the front.
Right now we're watching just a short warm-up before we kick off the main event here. This is the NASRA Clash from the Coliseum here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Looks like the warm-up has ended here. Hunter, we have the starting grid ready to rock and roll. We're ready to rock and roll up here in the booth as well. We'll have 50 laps here. We'll count them down, and caution laps will not count under caution. Go ahead and kick it off for us at home, Hunter, and start off that starting grid.
On the pole, this one is going to be the 26 of Cody Knott, your heat race number 1 winner. To his outside, then number 9 of Chris Blanchard. Second row, the 77 of Johnny Lawrence, with to his outside Keith Bradley. The third row going to be Zach Hartwick, and the 24 and 27 to his outside is Justin Lumpkin. Chris Cinnamon on the fourth row, my bad, in the 3 to his outside Blake Lothian. In the 9th spot, going to be the 11 Derek Kilgore, and to his outside Ed Osborne. Next row, we're going to have the 99 of Devin Painter, and to his outside, the 48 of Robbie Richards. In the next row, we're going to have the 22 of Jeff Sickles, and to his outside, Michael McKinnon. From there on back, we're going to go to the 17 of Brandon Bullock, and to his outside, our LCQ winner, James Morris. Next row, we're going to have the 19 of Jonathan Pugh and Joey Doucette. Behind him, we're going to go to Huck Wigington and Kyle Hess. In that 21 spot, we're going to go to the 53 of CJ Fondot and the 4 of Adam Newbert. And in our final row, Will, we have the 39 of Dane Hagen and the 45 of Dana Shepard. And that is your 24-car grid A-main event here at the Nazareth Clash at the Coliseum.
24 cars will take on the Coliseum here in the Clash race here. This is officially the jumping off point for Speed Weeks here in the Truck Series. As we now see everybody's ready to rock and roll, we're 2x2 all the way down the racetrack here. Pace lights are off of the pace truck. We're waiting for him to go ahead and pull off. We'll go green flag racing. Barney's ready in his forklift. So are we up here in the booth. And here we go. We come off a corner number 4. We're officially racing here in the main event down to corner number 1.
Chris Blanchard is going to get the little bit of a jump on the outside as the inside row is stacking up. That is going to be your pole sitter, Cody Knott and Johnny Lawrence tangled up off of turn 2. Not sure what started that whole little mess coming off of turn 2, but Chris Blanchard will inherit the race lead after lap 1.
Yeah, Hunter, we have our first caution on the racetrack there. We were about a quarter of the way through the racetrack, checking out the replay here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. The 26 is going to make contact with the 9 there. That's going to send the 26 down into the inside wall. And the 77 right there didn't have anywhere to go but to make contact with that side panel of the 26.
Yeah, unfortunate for your pole sitter, 26 just got into turn 1 a little too hard and tried to stay off of the 9 of Chris Blanchard, but as they're coming off of turn 2, just nothing you can do with the whole field behind you. Fortunate enough, no one really piled up too hard, but very, very tough start to that first race, or first lap, my bad.
Very tough start indeed right now as we're under caution here in the main event. My name is William Tiller. I'm joined tonight by Hunter Parsons. We have Brady LaBeouf up here in the booth with us as well. And Adam Fleeger is the man giving you all the wonderful shots here from the Coliseum. We are live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. If you're enjoying what you are seeing here tonight, we invite you to go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Go ahead and like and subscribe us on YouTube. There are races coming at you almost every day of the week here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. And Brady, I'll bring you on here, my man. We watched those heat races, we watched the LCQ. Now we're watching lap number 1. We have our first caution of the night. Do you feel like this is going to calm down just a little bit here as we get things going once again?
Oh, absolutely. I think, everybody's just trying to get settled in, So hopefully that happens, but I think it's going to be exciting the rest of the way. We just have to wait and see how it pans out because everybody's used to running with 5 trucks and now you're running with 20.
A big increase there as Blanchard, that 9 truck will take that green flag. We are racing here. This is lap number 4. We are clean so far on the racetrack there, Hunter. We have some door-to-door racing down the grid here. We have a bunch of cars on the racetrack here, trucks. We are under caution once again as there's a big pileup on 3 and 4.
Yeah, unfortunate for those 2 cars turned sideways in front of the field as we have a replay coming to you right now. Looks like some cars just got on the brakes a little too hard. Going into turn 1 as we were going down into turn 3 where I believe the caution came out. Looks like cars just collected on the inside wall and came to a grueling stop in front of traffic. I do believe that was the 00 of Huck Wigington. And it is, as we are looking at the 45 and the 86 of Shepard and Hess, as that is the 00 of Huck Wigington facing backwards. Certainly not a way you want to be looking.
Definitely not, Hunter. And we spoke about it to start this broadcast off. Santa Claus is going to come late to a lot of these drivers here tonight. You're going to get one fast repair. The way this pace is going, this will be a race of nutrition. Whoever can survive the longest at the Coliseum. Some of these drivers might even have to ride around with a lot of heavy damage just so that they can hold on to that fast repair to the end of this race. So keep an eye out as we tick down the laps here in this main event race. We raced it down in the heat races. We raced it down in the LCQ, but everything is now on the line here in the main event. We spoke to Brady LaBeouf, the boss man here tonight. He spoke about how these drivers are racing for playoff points here in this clash race. It's a fun race, Hunter. You know, things are on the line. There's money on the line, playoff points. But as a driver's point of view, you know, how do you want to win this race, or is it just more of a fun aspect, fun race for you here, the start of Speed Weeks?
Well, as a racer, every time you get in or on the server or just in a car in general, you want to win. So I know a lot of these guys are just here having fun. As we mentioned, not much on the line except those playoff points, but playoff points in this league definitely make a big difference. Those 5 extra points for winning, or however Brady has it set up for tonight, they can definitely mean something when it comes down to that playoff cutoff line. But as we are getting ready to go back green, Will, I do have to notice that Chris Blanchard chose the top on this restart, and that is his teammate Keith Bradley in the 29 from Upfront Motorsports on the bottom. So teammates definitely working together to try and keep each other out front in this one.
As we're on lap number 5, we're down the backstretch already. Osborne will take us down to 3 and 4 right now. He is separating from the rest of the field. See if we can keep it clean around the corners here. We do. It looks like there is a truck smoking on the racetrack, though.
That is going to be the Joey Doucette. He is going to be smoking very hard. It has just not been his lady luck night at the Coliseum and the Clash.
But it could be one of those instances that I spoke about there, Hunter. We have another caution on the racetrack here, as it looks like there's a multi-truck pileup, excuse me, at corner number 2 right there. Caution flag is out once again here in this main event.
Yeah, it looks like the 24 is Zach Harwick and the 17 of Brandon Bullock. As we saw that later on, looking at this replay going into turn 1. Hartwick is going to be on the top side and just gets a little bit of a push from the 99 of Devin Painter going into 1. And just ultimately got them all brake checked up on that high side. And unfortunate for Zach Hartwick there. As we're looking at the 16 right there, smoking heavy damage on that truck.
And right now, Hunter, I think that over-under on the amount of green flag laps we'll run, I think is around maybe 2 or 3. Because right now, I think we only have about 6 or 7 laps in the books under green. The rest are caution flag laps. But as we spoke about to start this broadcast off tonight, the caution flag laps will not count against these drivers here tonight. So no worries there. If we have a multi-car pile up here, these laps will not count under caution. We'll go ahead and reset right back to where we were when that caution flag flew on the racetrack. And Hunter, these trucks are already beat up. You see a lot of back end damage. A lot of bumpers are already pushed in on these trucks here tonight. You know, again, for the driver's point of view here, does this race ever get frustrating to you with the amount of caution flags that are flying, or are you still sticking to that game plan?
It can be frustrating if you are always one of those cars stuck in that wreck. I know for sure those cars up front like Blanchard, Bradley, and as we see, Lothian has made his way to the front. Those guys are glad to see these cautions because they don't want to get to that lap traffic, as that's just where all of this calamity is beginning. So those guys are certainly loving to see all these cautions after a few laps. But if you're one of those cars that's being collected or always in the middle of it, it surely is devastating to have that mentality that you have to keep suffering through that.
Indeed, here as we await the drop of the green flag here. The pace truck will take us down into 3 and 4. Looks like we are ready to go green flag racing here once again from the Coliseum. See who gets the big jump here on this restart. Chris Blanchard will take the green flag down to corner number 1. He has Bradley right there on his inside of the 29. Big move from the 9 truck to go ahead and block his teammate there on the inside lane, but look at Blake Lothian in that 43 truck. He is up there in the mix, already in the 3rd position. He has kind of fought his way through those heat races. We were under caution once again.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, 9 and the 29, they are teammates, so probably a little bit of strategy as to why the 9 is taking the top side on those restarts, trying to make sure that those 2 teammates can control this race from the front row, and they are doing an excellent job from Motorsports, a team you will be hearing about all season, as they are always strong season championship contenders and team point champion contenders, so very tough to try and dethrone those guys, as I do believe, and Brady can correct me, they are back-to-back team champions.
That is correct, Hunter. Upfront Motorsports has won since we started doing team points and team standings and team championships the past 2 seasons. They won the first one, the inaugural one, and then they won the second one, so back-to-back. So they're going for the three-peat this season.
Certainly not an easy task to do with such a heavy field of hitters, and to be able to be that consistent, it just is mind-boggling that there hasn't been another team to contend for it yet.
Yeah, that's correct. But like I said, you know, in NASCAR, you have silly season. That's what we have at NASCAR also. You got a lot of guys that have switched teams from season to season, and I'm really excited about this one because there's a lot of recruiting deals being made. So you see people that don't normally like each other or run well together that will be running on the same team this year. So it should be fun.
We'll be eager to see how those friendships, as you say, those people that don't like each other, we'll see how well they can work out to dethrone Upfront Motorsports at the end of the season. But that's a long way away, and right now we are focused on going back green at the clash at the Coliseum, as Chris Blanchard will be leading them back to the green on that outside lane.
Right now. And we see right now, it looks like we're going to go ahead and get 2x2 once again as we await the drop of the green flag. And Chris Blanchard will take the green flag down to corner number 1 as our race leader. He goes ahead and blocks Bradley on the inside lane, that 29 truck. There goes Blake Lothian, that 43. Try to stick his nose right into that fender. Didn't have enough, though, as we are now single file down into 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3 single file line. The rest of the field still double gridded, and we have a wreck heading down into the corner. So the caution flag will be out once again.
Big pile up there into turn 1, which I believe was started at the 99 of Devin Painter. Just got in a little too hard into turn 1, or possibly had a little bit of help, but parking lot right now into turn 1. As we were only 10 laps into this 50-lap race, a lot of chaos already there, Will. So how many trucks are we going to have left at the end of this one?
That's a very interesting question there, Hunter. How many trucks we'll have left? How many fast repairs we'll have left? And as I mentioned when we started this main event off, you know, some of these drivers are probably going to be forced to ride around with heavy damage on these trucks just because you want to wait and use that fast repair probably towards the end of this race, as we're only 10 laps into this 50-lap race here tonight. So we're going to see a lot of beat-up trucks, probably some smoke coming from some of these trucks. It's basically going to be, as long as you can keep it running, you can keep it on the track.
Yeah, and right now I do want to look at, there hasn't been a whole lot of passing throughout the field. Your hardest charger right now is Adam Newbert in that 4, coming from your LCQ from the 22 spot all the way up to the 13th. So 10 laps in, he's already making his way through the field. Not a whole lot of moving throughout this one, though. A lot of cars getting tore up, that is for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Indeed, here as we are only on lap 10, a lot of these trucks are beat up. As that field is ticking along the top of your screens here, we are live on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. Some guys are already a few laps down. But at this pace here tonight, you can get those laps back pretty quick, Hunter, because it looks like we're having a bunch of pileups. You know, we look at drivers, you know, the 77's a few laps down, Whittington's a few laps down as well. 2 laps down here, 10 laps into this race, but who knows? You might be able to snag those laps back the way this race is playing out so far here, only 10 laps in. You could be a guy, a driver that comes from the tail end of this pack, maybe kind of caresses through all the action, through all the calamity, through all the wrecks. And as you touched on, Hunter, some of these drivers might use those fast repairs, and then you get in another wreck, then they have to retire for the rest of the night. So almost in my opinion, it might be better to go ahead and just kind of cruise in the back of this field, wait for everything to play out, and then see what your chances are towards the end of this race.
Yeah, we're only a fifth of the way through this race, and we've seen a lot of things happen very early on. So I would, if it were me, I would definitely be biding my time, not really pushing the issue. If someone wants to challenge you for that spot, let them have that, and worry about it later. Survive now, race later, as I would like to think of it. So, but I'm not the one in the seat right now, so I'm up in here. So I love seeing the chaos when I'm not part of it. So,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, as Blanchard goes green back into turn 1, 29, him, or Bradley and Blanchard seem to have those restarts down. It's definitely going to take some green flag racing to see if those two can be dethroned.
As we already have cars sliding, or trucks sliding down into the corner right now, no caution flag yet on the racetrack. As we're staying green right now, Chris Blanchard will take us down into the corner. He has Bradley in that 29 right behind him. Blake Lothian in that 43 trucks right there as well. As we are still green on the racetrack. See how long this can stay, Hunter. This is about the longest green flag run we've had all night here.
Yeah, and we're only 3 laps into it. But yeah, everyone's doing a great job now. They're starting to do a little bit of give and take, knowing where they have the pace. As we have a car stopped on the bottom of pit road entrance, and the caution will come out for, not even for that car, as we have a pileup into turn 1. As I do see the purple machine of Joey Doucette yet again, the 17 of Brandon Bullock as well parked on the top of turn 1 and 2. As we are getting the replay here, as we are looking at the 16 of Joey Doucette, little bit of bump and run in front of him, no harm, no foul.
Ooh,
Well, I don't know about that. Not sure what the 17 was intending there. It looked like he just didn't stop going into turn 1 and 2.
no, that truck was in full send mode down in the corner.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that white truck is that was part of it.
Wham! Right into the back of
Wow.
that truck. Didn't look like he hit the brakes at all inside of that cockpit.
Yeah, we'll have to see what race control does about that one, as that definitely seemed a little bit intentional. But tempers flare at these little short tracks there, Will, so maybe there's something that we may have missed in the past there.
It may have been there in the way these caution flags are flying, the way these drivers are beating each other up here. Only about 15, maybe 14 laps into this race. Tempers are going to fly here. It is going to get testy. It is also going to be a race of nutrition because you only have that one fast repair. These trucks will get beat up. They'll start to get slow. They'll start to smoke. They'll start to be hard to handle as well, Hunter. So a lot of these things these drivers have to put up with, but you have other drivers that aren't racing the way you want them to race as we keep piling up into the corner. So it's going to get very testy here as these laps tick down.
For sure, and you definitely do not want to be a part of any of these wrecks if the lap or lead cars are coming up on them, as we do have a few more cars that I believe went a lap down during that last little stage, or possibly not. I just heard some chatter being laps down on the race receivers, so we'll see as they are doubling back up down the backstretch, getting ready to come to the green flag as Chris Blanchard and Keith Bradley will be leading them back to the field. as the
It
caution will be extended a few laps here so we can get everyone lined back up.
looks like at the top of the grid right there we have the 9 of Blanchard, 29 of Bradley, the 43 of Blake Lothian. And the crazy thing about all these cautions that have flown so far 15 laps into this race, or looks like about 14 laps here as we're not counting these caution laps, Hunter, but nothing's happened up here in the lead. These leaders have kept it clean here throughout.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of saving their vehicles, their trucks, to have a chance at the end. You need to be in it to win it. So you certainly don't want to be pushing the issue now and make any enemies, as we saw that last caution. So these guys are doing a really good job. As I do want to mention that we have a few cars up front, the 29, the 9, and the 3. They are all teammates. So a team of 3 working hard tonight, running up in the top 4.
See right now, looks like everybody is 2x2 once again. We were waiting for the pace truck to go ahead and pull off, and we are green flag racing once again as Chris Blanchard will take the green flag as our race leader, as we're clean so far right now. Blake Lothian trying to make a pass right there to hold on to his third place position. He's not going to hold it though, as Bradley in that 29 will take it from him right there as he's trying to get back up into the mix. There's another truck up there in the mix though, Hunter. A battle for a second is taking place down the backstretch.
Yeah, that is your Upfront Motorsports teammates. The 9 of Chris Blanchard, the 3 of Cinnamon, and the 29 of Bradley. So teammates battling amongst themselves for that top spot.
See right here as Cinnamon's in the mix right there in that 3 truck. Trying to hold on Blake Lothian, but we have a lap truck in the mix as well. Lothian's going to try to go to the inside of the lap truck and makes contact with the fender and a big pile up into the corner. We are under caution once again.
Parking lot off of turn 2, as I believe that was the 00 Huck Wigington as the lap car. Getting a little crossed up in front of the field, starting everything behind him. So unfortunate for a lot of your leaders that were up front battling for position, collecting the 3 of Chris Cinnamon, one of those vehicles.
See right here, this is the replay here on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. And you see everybody tries to check up to what's happening in front of them, and then just the dominoes start to fall here at a track that's so tight here at the Coliseum, Hunter.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, it is very hard to slow down off these corners as you can't see what's coming up before you exit that turn, and you're looking down the back stretch or the front stretch. So very difficult for everyone to come to a halt stop. As I mentioned, one of those cars ensuing some damage was your front runner, the 3 of Chris Cinnamon. Very unfortunate for him. He is going to be taking it pit side. See if he needs to be taking one of those fast repairs, or if he will just save that and use it for later on. As we saw a little bit of a replay, Blake Lothian gets into the lap car going into 1, but ultimately you're a lead car racing for the lead. I'm not sure, Will. What do you think about that?
That's tough. You know, you have the lap car on the top side there. Blake Lothian was just trying to make it pass. You know, for the lap car, there's really no lane you can pick here at the Coliseum. You know, at a bigger track, like even at a super speedway or another short track, you can almost get to the apron. You can move out of the way of the leaders. In this track, there's really nowhere you can go. And for Blake Lothian, that likes to take these corners just a little bit faster than everybody. You saw that brake being pushed hard during his heat races. You know, the lap truck on the top side there, you barely make contact there. And it's not a track to where you get somebody loose, maybe that driver saves it and you're okay. You get a driver loose at this sort of track, it's going to be a pileup of at least 10 to 15 trucks.
For sure, especially when it is out in front of the field like that, as it was a bunch of your leaders. So very unfortunate for everyone, but we are doubled up. It looks like the pace truck will be turning off its lights this time by as we get ready to go back to green, as we are on lap 18 of 50 in this one.
As we come around the final corner here, looks like we're going to have one more lap under caution. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching at home here live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network, these caution laps will not count as these drivers go around the track here tonight. But here we go. Chris Blanchard will take this green flag down to corner number 1 with Bradley to his inside, down into the corner. Still with a huge restart from Blanchard there in that 9. He is jumping off those restarts perfectly there, Hunter, as we head down to corner number 3.
Yeah, the 9, him and Bradley have really perfected that restart zone. So if anyone can get to them and contend for a battle for the win, they're going to have to do it under green, I believe. It's just very hard to get a new leader if we're always having these cautions. So I would really like to see a little bit more green flag race in action, as Blake definitely has the speed to be up front.
Yeah, as we had a pile up down into the corner right there. Looks like a pile up into 1 and 2. Looks like these trucks were piling up before the leaders even got back around the racetrack. So we were under caution here once again here in this featured event in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series Nazareth Clash from the Coliseum.
While we have a second here, do you mind if I bring in our race leader, Chris Blanchard, see what he's thinking about of all these cautions?
Let's do it. I'd love to hear from Chris.
Let's see if I can move him up here. A little bit of trouble doing so. Don't think I'm gonna be able to bring him in at this time. There we go. Hey Chris, it is Hunter and Will in the booth. You got us?
I gotcha.
Well, you and your teammate Keith Bradley surely have these restarts under pat. What are you guys thinking about all these caution laps and caution flags after short restarts?
I just don't want to. I don't want to hit the brakes and lock them up going into 1 on the restart. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Other than that, it's helping me. The only thing that sucks, it's not counting the laps when we're under caution. So the race would be over by now.
For sure, but you two certainly are doing a great job holding down the fort up front. You guys got to be loving to see these cautions at least before you catch up to lap traffic.
We are. It seems like they're coming out just before we reach the lap traffic. So it's definitely on our side right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for giving us that moment. I will get you back with your teammates. Good luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you here at the end.
All right, hopefully.
Again, that was your race leader, the 9 of Chris Blanchard. As he mentioned, Will, caution's definitely playing out into their favor. As a racer, how would you feel being that third car, knowing you have the speed and the pace, but just no opportunity to be able to capitalize on anything of that?
I would say just a little bit of a frustration there, Hunter. You know, and we talk about that third place truck is Blake Lothian, that 43. You've seen him start to get that nose out there, kind of fight for position. He made contact with a lap truck. He's trying everything he can to try to advance position on the racetrack, but nothing seems to work as Chris Blanchard takes the green flag in that 9 truck. And I think with these caution flags that keep flowing out, and it looks like we're going to have another one down to corner number 1 and 2 right now with a huge pile up down into the corner. You can't get really anything going because once you get up to speed and you get that truck flowing the way you want it to, that caution flag flies. And we have another caution flag here down in the corners number 1 and 2.
Yeah, another caution here on lap 22. Not even halfway yet, but I do believe this race is shaping up to be exactly what we thought it would have been just once they announced it on the schedule. So definitely a little bit of a rough start to the season, but we're halfway until we're done with this one. We can move on to the next one at Daytona, my bad.
Yeah, right now it's in rather pile up. And, you know, I'm curious to see, Hunter, how many trucks we have left here as we slowly creep up to that halfway point. How many drivers will we have left as some of these drivers are being forced to use that fast repair? This field will keep dwindling down. We haven't even reached the halfway mark.
Yeah, and right now we still do have 23 cars on the lead lap, so certainly no one out of this one yet. Just gonna be a waiting game to see who can be there at the end.
Waiting game indeed as we await now the drop of the green flag once again. I think our longest green flag run we've had so far, Hunter, was maybe around 4 or 5 laps here at the Coliseum. And then the yellow flag flew once again. I think that's the longest run we've had so far, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. One thing we haven't really talked about is tire wear. We know shorter corners or shorter track, tighter corners, you got to be wearing that right front out. But with us not going green at all, no one's really going to have to be using any of those extra tire sets that they have been given. So no real strategy coming into this race at all.
No, none at all. These drivers, I believe, have 3 sets for that truck here, but I think the main emphasis is going to be on that fast repair. You know, we've spoke about it a few times already during this broadcast. You know, you're not really putting too much wear on the tires if you're only getting about a lap or two, you know, at full speed, maybe if that there, Hunter. You know, I think these drivers are really just focused on keeping these trucks clean, getting to the finish, as you just alluded to just not too long ago. As now it looks like we're ready for this green flag once again as the pace truck's going to pull off. Chris Blanchard will take us to the start-finish line once again. Still our race leader. We're green flag racing once again down to corners number 1 and 2.
Yeah, Chris Blanchard gets a nice little jump, this time from the inside row, as Justin Lumpkin is going to jump up to that 2 spot, but not for long, as the 29 of Keith Bradley is going to get back to that 2 position on the inside as they funnel down into turn 1. We got some double file racing behind for that 3rd spot, as I see a little bit of smoke behind him, as Calamity, you can see, is from 3rd on pack. That is going to collect just about everyone in, as the only 2 clean cars out of that one are going to be Blanchard and Bradley.
As we have a
Blake,
pile up down into corners number 1 and 2. Didn't get a lap in the books there under green. I thought we were going to get a lap there, Hunter, but it looks like another pile up down in the corner. As we take a look at this NASRA 360 Racing Network replay, it looks like just the same thing we've seen over and over again here. It's a Bill Murray Groundhog's Day here, as everybody just seems to be piling up in that same corner.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's a matter of that inside car just not expecting that outside car to come down, just not lifting soon enough, and certainly just not expecting it. So, sorry, just a lot of not a lot of give and take out there on this one. But I do want to mention that the 43 made it out of that clean somehow, as well as the 3 of Chris Cinnamon, who was involved in a wreck a couple laps ago and forced to go down pit road. So he, depending how everything shakes out here under that caution, he will get back up to the front.
Here on lap, I believe it was a lap 22 or 23 when that caution flag flew once again. And folks, if you're joining us here on the NASRA 360 Racing Network, these caution laps do not count. And our longest green flag run here at the Coliseum has just been around 4 or 5 laps here on the racetrack. As we watch Chris Blanchard, and you know, Hunter, you asked me not too long ago what I thought from a driver's point of view about, you know, these yellow flags coming out, and what the mentality would be. How would you feel if you were Chris Blanchard? You keep taking that green flag here on these restarts, you keep getting an excellent restart, separating yourself there from the rest of the field, and then as you start to build up that momentum, start to build up that speed, the yellow flag flies once again.
Yeah, it certainly is grueling just having to sit there the entire race doing the same thing over and over again. But as they are taking the restart each time, it is clicking off another lap. So long and taxing, yes, but overall it may just end up paying off for him and his teammate as they are back up to the 1 and 2 spot. So as I mentioned, it's very tough to sit there as we are over a half hour into this race, only 23 laps in. As Barney's going to wave the green flag, Chris Blanchard will get a nice restart down into turn 1 in front of his teammate, 29 of Keith Bradley. Blake Lothian to the 3 spot, and Chris Cinnamon, another upfront motorsports driver, trying to crack his way back into the top 3. Currently in that 4th spot, working on the inside of CJ Fonda. And we do have a caution. Oh no, another parking lot going into turn 1.
Just as I was about to say there, Hunter, we were green flag racing there. Everything was kind of calm on the racetrack. Everybody seemed to be okay, and then we had a big pileup. Now a different kind of pileup, Hunter, on the front stretch is where the parking lot occurs.
Yeah, not sure what started that one, as we will get a replay here. We are looking at the 77 of Lawrence. Not sure if that's where it started or not. And it is. He is going to come up on the 99 to Devin Painter, and Painter just runs out of room, and calamity behind him as it collected our LCQ winner Morris, and just everyone behind him having nowhere to go. You see the 48 of Robbie Richards turned around, and everyone else just slowed down to avoid more carnage.
And as we're under yellow flag once again here, Hunter, I believe as we may have crested that halfway point here, this is the clash here at the Coliseum, the natural clash here at the Coliseum here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series here. That's the official jumping off point of Speed Weeks. We will take a short break. We'll run our first commercial of the night here, Hunter. We'll be right back with more live action from the Coliseum. Looks like we're staying here live at the Coliseum. No commercial break for us, Hunter. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here at the Coliseum. And we're watching Chris Blanchard at the top of this grid right now in that 9 truck. We spoke about how these restarts may be getting to him just a little bit as you keep consistently taking that green flag. We have Bradley right there still in second, and Blake Lothian in that 43 truck in third. No change in the top 3 through all of this.
Yeah, and as we are getting ready to go back green here, I am getting word from race control that restarts will be single file this time. No more double file restarts. Want to try and get these guys some green flag race, and hopefully this will solve the issue. As we are going to go green, the 9 of Chris Blanchard will lead them back into turn 1 and off of turn 2. 29 of Keith Bradley as the caution is back out. Apparently single file restart may not be it. Another caution early on in this one. And one thing to think about, Will, is we do have a time limit on this race. It is either 50 laps or an hour and 15 minutes, whichever comes first, and we are about 40 minutes in, so only 35 minutes left in the session, if I'm correct.
That seems to be a good math there, and the way we're going right now, we might crest over that halfway point here with just a few more laps in the book. But right now, we can't get to that halfway point there, Hunter. We keep slowly creeping up towards it, and then the yellow flag flies.
For sure, and I do believe we will be on lap 25, so we are at that halfway point. We're halfway there and just about halfway through the session lobby time, so we're going to be very close as to if we will make it on time or not.
Yes, essentially turn into almost an endurance race with a timer up in your cockpit or on your screens at home, almost like a Le Mans race, if you will, a 12 hours at Daytona style of race here tonight with that timer ticking down.
For sure, as we are going to be staying single file on this restart, hopefully we can get a few green flag laps in here. I would like to see if anyone can challenge those Upfront Motorsports guys for that top spot with only 25 laps to go in this one.
As we've now hit that halfway mark. I think we're just there, Hunter, with that one lap we ran under green. I think we did eclipse that halfway mark. But right now, for those top 3 guys on the racetrack, no change, though, at the top of the grid. Still the same players up there at the top. Yeah, we're looking at the names of Bradley, looking at Blake Lothian, Blanchard there in that 9. From the drop of the green flag, these 3 drivers through everything have stayed in position.
Yeah, not a whole lot has been changing. The only thing really changing is everyone behind the front 5 or 6 cars, as Blanchard's going to get another great restart, as he's going to be coming up on lap traffic already, as not everyone was tight up single file. So if we stay green, this could be very interesting on how everything will shake out, because everyone is spread out a little bit. So we may see some green flag laps here.
We may see some green flag laps indeed, as our longest green flag run of this race has just been about 4 or 5 laps. That's a lap in the books there, Hunter. We got a lap in there right here at the Coliseum. See if we can get 2 in the books right now as you come around the racetrack. Watching some moves taking place here. We see the drivers beating doors already here. See Blanchard up there. Now we're mixing in with some lap traffic. Bradley's going to follow him in that 29 machine. The 43 of Blake Lothian's right there as well. See if we can keep it clean here. Make it 3 laps under green. As we come off of 3 and 4 right now, that's officially 3 laps under green, Hunter, as we dig down to corner number 1.
And as we say that, announcer's curse is going to bring out the caution off of turn 4, but a nice little run there as we were able to see a nice little run going there.
Yeah, that was pretty clean there for a while. Got about 3 laps in the books there under green. And then, of course, the yellow flag flies once again. We'll see what brought out this caution here on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network.
Coming off of turn 4, just got on the throttle a little too hard. No contact made, but sitting down there on the bottom just is going to have iRacing throw out a caution flag. Not sure who that was, however. It's crazy to say that a 3-lap run has been a long run for those of you just joining in. That is going to be the 19 of Jonathan Pugh. Unfortunate for him, just getting on the throttle a little too hard off of turn 4.
Yeah, and looking at our YouTube chat here, if you want to go ahead and like and subscribe us here at the NASCAR 360 Racing Network, looking at some of the fans out there, they're saying this is not normal for these guys, the way that they race. A lot of these guys race across the different series here in the NASCAR, Racing Network. They do other series here. We do an Xfinity series. We do another truck series that race on Monday nights. A lot of these names overlap through these series, so this isn't what you would see on a normal day basis there, Hunter. And of course, we're looking at some other names, and they wish they were out there with these guys. And another fan says that these boys are showing zero patience here tonight. And I think tonight, Hunter, I think we've all shown a bit of patience the way this race has played out.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the person who mentioned zero patience was Stephen Thomas. He is your defending NASCAR champion. Surprising not to see him out here tonight, as he is probably sitting back watching right now. Probably pretty glad he's not out here in this field.
Yeah, I would say so too. Here, it's not a competitive race, Hunter. It's just a very, let's say, endurance style of race. We've had a lot of those caution flags. We've had a lot of wrecks. We've had a lot of damaged trucks out there as well. But the thing that stays constant, I mentioned it almost every drop of the green flag, these top 3 trucks have not changed since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, and I do believe that they are the only 3 trucks out there that haven't ensued any damage or taken any fast repair. As some trucks may have some damage and not taking their fast repair, but these 3 have stayed very clean from the very drop of the green at the beginning of this feature, as Chris Blanchard will lead them back through 1 and 2 as your race leader. Teammate Keith Bradley on his rear bumper with the 43 of Blake Lothian as they are getting ready to come up 2-lap traffic. And in that 4th spot, forgot to mention up front motorsports number 3 Chris Cinnamon. The 3 teammates up in the top 4 very early on yet, as we still have around 20 laps to go.
Yeah, 17 laps here from the Coliseum. We're still under green for the moment right now as everybody's single file around the racetrack. Let's see if we can continue this on. Last time I said that we had a yellow flag fly there, Hunter. And it looks like we're still clean here. We're counting the laps down here, and the yellow flag is out.
Another car stopped on the front. Oh no! Your car spun out, put it in reverse, and backed up on your leader of Chris Blanchard. Not sure if Chris ensued any damage from that. I believe that is a 17 of Brandon Bullock as he got going and the leaders came up. 17, put it in reverse. Unfortunate for Chris Blanchard. Hopefully nothing too drastic done to that 9 machine. Keith Bradley, however, did make it through that clean. Not sure if that handed the lead over to Keith Bradley over Blanchard. We may have a new race leader for the first time in this one, Will.
Yeah, it looks like Bradley is going to be our race leader there. Made the jump from second up to first. Blake Lothian's still going to be in that third position there. And, you know, we spoke about it not too long ago there, Hunter. It's very hard to increase your position the way this race is playing out. It looks like Bradley did make it past, and it may have been because they had to bob and weave through that lap traffic that somehow, some way, the 29 got around the 9 there in just about a lap and a half.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Keith had gotten in front of him before or after the caution, because when iRacing throws a caution when caution laps don't count, the field freezes where they're at, or as I should say, how they cross the line on that last lap. So if it froze as the caution came out, if Blanchard was in front, it would have left him as the leader because he led that last completed lap. However, if the caution came out and then Bradley passed him, I'm not sure if that's why Keith is giving the lead. But I am hearing over race control that Blanchard should be the leader, so he will be given the lead here in front of Keith Bradley. So a good move there, as I do believe Blanchard should have been called the race leader.
As we watch right now, we're watching the field go ahead and get in that single file line here with about 15 laps to go from the Coliseum. And looking at here, we're looking at the back of the chat here on YouTube. I couldn't make it tonight in time, unfortunately, but I'm kind of glad at this point. That's Stephen Thomas, your boy there that you shouted out not too long ago. John H. said, not competitive, you said. LOL. Stephen Thomas also said just wouldn't want to do all these pace laps, and they don't even count, is what Stephen Thomas said there. And Hunter, I think I may have lost a count of how many cautions we've had here tonight, but we have to be creeping up into at least the 15 to 16, 17 caution range there, and with about 15 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't have that many fingers to count that high, Will, so very difficult to tell for sure. I would be eager to see what the caution lap count would be on how many laps we turned caution.
And it looks like we went green there, and then we're back under caution once again as the pace truck went down pit road. Now the pace truck is now back out on the racetrack, as it looked like we had a little bit of a tease there, Hunter, as the leader took the green flag, and then the yellow flag came right back out.
Yeah, I do believe our race control has delayed it right before they crossed the line, as not a lot of cars were lined up in their proper spots or single file, but the little pace truck will have its lights off. As it is in the infield, we will be going green next time by. We have just 20 laps to go in the clash at the Coliseum. Chris Blanchard still your leader after all this time. Out front, behind him, the 29 of Keith Bradley, the 43 of Blake Lothian, the 3 of Chris Cinnamon, and the 53 of CJ Fonda, your top 5.
As you see, Blanchard, that 9 is going to take us around corner number 1 and 2. Down the backstretch here, we're still under green here with 15 laps to go. We'll see if we can complete this thing down here. As it looks like Blanchard will take us down across the line, make it 14 laps to go right now down the backstretch. Right now, he's still the race leader, and the yellow flag is out once again.
Yeah, I don't see any wrecked cars. However, under that last caution, Adam Newbert did inherit the lead just by unfortunate of wave around. So he did slow down to let the leaders go by and collect his proper position on the field. However, stopping on the racetrack, iRacing will throw a caution for it. So an unfortunate caution there for no wreck. However, but needed to be done to reset the field in the proper position. As we are going to be on lap 37 of 50, we are looking at only 25 minutes left in the race session. So we're going to be very close if we keep having these cautions on if we will get it completed in time or not. But one person who's got to love to see us creeping up on that timer is our race leader, the 9 Chris Blanchard. He has led every lap from the drop of the original green, trying to go flag to flag from the front row. Right now, our hard charger will be back in that 5 spot. The 53 is CJ Fonda. He is coming from the 21st spot on the grid.
As we're looking at it looks like around 12 laps to go here. Maybe 13 laps to go here next time, Hunter, when this green flag flies. But we were back in that single file line here from the Coliseum. We were waiting the drop of the green flag. Barney has now switched hands. He has been waving that yellow flag and green flag so many times here tonight that now he is using his left hand instead of his right hand up in that forklift. But now we're going to watch that pace truck pull off down to the pit road. No, we'll go one more lap under caution here.
If I were that second car and your teammate, are you going to try and go for that win, Willow, or will you just play protective and help your teammate get that first win of the season? How would what would you want to do in this situation?
I think right now, once that green flag flies, I'm going to put my foot to the floor and try everything I can to increase my position before the yellow flag flies once again. But we see that restart from Blanchard right here as he takes that green flag down to the corner number 1. You see Bradley right there in the 29. There's a little bit of a stack up down there in the corner. Blake Lothian right there in that 43 truck's right behind Bradley in that 29. You see the 9 of Blanchard, though, around corner number 4. He's going to take this sign with 12 laps to go. Down to corner number 1, we have a car on the racetrack. Yellow flag is out.
Joey Doucette, another unfortunate caution involving the 16 machine. Not sure what exactly happened. I do believe he made contact with another vehicle in turn 1, just getting a little crossed up. Nothing too crazy though. Surprised iRacing threw a caution for that. We are looking on board with, I believe, the 19 Jonathan Pugh. Keep in mind, Joey Doucette was brought out that caution in that purple 16. Newbert just getting into 1 and 2, a little too hot on the brakes. Sending the 16 around, bringing out the caution once again. Very unfortunate night for Joey Doucette, as he has just not had anything go his way, it seems, tonight.
No, and I think that can be said for a lot of these drivers. You know, it's not just the guys in the middle or the tail end of this pack right here, but for some of these guys up in the lead as well. You know, you start to build some momentum. You start to go for those battles for the lead. You know, look at Bradley in that 29. He thought he had a run there for a little bit. He had to check up, and right when he was starting to build it up just once again, the yellow flag flies on the racetrack. And Blake Lothian there has been dead set in that 3rd position for the majority of tonight's race. Now the pace truck has pulled off once again, and we are green flag racing as Blanchard takes this green flag down to corner number 1 with Bradley right behind him. Blake Lothian in that 43 truck in the 3rd position.
Yeah, the top 3 break away a little bit as we are going to be going to 10 to go this time by, as we are going to have another caution going into turn 1. as your leaders have to get on the brakes hard and heavy before colliding with, I believe, James Morris was brought out of that caution. Another caution ensues the field with we go 10 laps to go in this clash at the Coliseum. Another thing to keep in mind, Will, is tonight we don't have our incident limit. Typically, these drivers have 20x before a drive-through penalty or a pit stop penalty. So tonight they don't have that. So you don't really have to worry about making all those contact points or possibly even getting DQ'd because of it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point there, Hunter, as we are looking at around 10 laps to go here. We're going to go ahead and sort out. I don't think anything else has come into play other than those fast repairs. Tires haven't really come into play. Fuel hasn't come into play as well, as these drivers are rocking those 100% fuel capacity fuel tanks. And tire wear, as you spoke about it, when we started this main event off, we thought it might come into play at all. But here with our longest green flag run of about 4 or 5 laps, not putting too much wear on those Goodyear Eagles here in this race.
Yeah, however, if we do somehow go 10 laps green, it will be interesting to see who has what tires left to be able to make a little bit of a late race charge to the front. It's just going to all depend if we can go green from here on out or not.
I would say at this average rate of our longest run of about 4 or 5 laps here under green, it's going to be tough. We're going to have another yellow flag probably in the mix somewhere down the tail end of this race. Looking at around 11 laps to go as the pace truck pulls off once again. This Blanchard will take this green flag down to corner number 1. Has Bradley again right behind him. This is not deja vu, ladies and gentlemen. This is the drop of the green flag. The top 3 guys are at the top of the grid here once again as Blanchard will take us around corner number 4 here. Make it 9 laps to go. Down to corner number 1 still as our race leader. Bradley right behind him. Lothian in that 43 trucks right in that 3rd position as well.
Everyone seems to be spread out a little bit, except for the middle of the pack. They're starting to race too wide. We will see if that brings out any late race caution. But right now, your top 3 starting to break away from that 4th car as Blanchard messes up the exit of 2 a little bit. That's going to allow Keith Bradley to suck up to the rear bumper and bringing the 43 with him of Blake Lothian. Very tight racing through that top 3, but a lot of respect between those drivers. As we are probably going to have a caution as they are wrecking off of turn 4, but they are going to save it and keep it green.
Keep it green. We like green here on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. We're still green here as we are trying to amass our longest green flag run of the race here with 8 laps to go here across the start-finish line.
Oh, no!
We should wrecking off of 4. That will bring out the caution here with 8 laps to go.
That is your race leader, Chris Blanchard, who goes around off of turn 4. He got in front of Joey Doucette, the lap car, and unfortunately just came off of turn 4 and got on the throttle a little too hard. And as you're watching right now, the 9 coming off of turn 4 hits a little bit of rumble, stumbles on the bottom of 4, gets on the throttle and spins it backwards in front of the field. That will hand the race lead over to Keith Bradley. And right now, Chris Blanchard led 45 laps, and he's got to be just absolutely kicking himself right now, letting that one just slip away. As I mentioned, that will hand the lead over to Keith Bradley with just 5 laps to go, 6 laps actually. The 43 of Blake Lothian will be the 2nd spot. Running 3rd will be 3 of Chris Cinnamon. CJ Fonda will be running 4th, and Michael McKinnon will be rounding out your top 5.
As we're looking at the conclusion of this race right now, we have a new race leader on the track here. Hunter, we've been waiting essentially all race long for that to happen. As we have a new race leader, that is Bradley in that 29 machine. Blake Lothian's right there in that 43 truck. So watch out here as we count it down. It looks like we'll have about 8 laps to go, unless we're counting caution laps now to conclude this race.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for the 9 of Chris Blanchard. He looked to have the winning spot on the track, just could not seal it up with 5 to go as we are going to be going green this time by. Pace truck is turned off its lights. Oh, I am stood corrected. We are going to be going one more time under caution before we turn off the lights.
Right now, as we're patiently awaiting the conclusion of this race, if we finish this race under green, Hunter, it will be the longest green flag run of this race, as we'll cross this line with 6 laps to go when we go green flag racing. Once again, we saw what happened to our race leader for the majority of tonight's race. Blanchard in that 9 had an unfortunate incident off the corner. But here we go with 6 laps to go. Bradley will take this green flag down to corner number 1.
Great restart there by the 29 of Keith Bradley. He's going to separate himself from the 43 Blake Lothian. As not sure what happened with Blake. I believe he blew up coming off of turn 2. When that last caution did come out, he mentioned he had a meatball from some collision with Blanchard, I'm guessing. As we have a parking lot going into turn 1, cars keep feeding into it. Yeah, very unfortunate there for the 43, who was running second in that race. Wow, Will. Speechless right now. Caution will come back out on lap 46. Just absolute mayhem the last couple of laps from our race leader Blanchard spinning out to the 43 running second, blowing up. That is going to leave Keith Bradley out front with Chris Cinnamon, I believe, running in the second position. As we are going to be looking at the replay right now on board with the 43 of Blake Lothian. Coming off of turn 2, it looks like he just loses all sorts of power. No contact, nothing. Something internal on that 43 machine gonna go awry. Very tough luck for your Sick With It Motorsports, looking to finish second, possibly even a chance at the win for this one. Looking at our top 3, we're going to have Keith Bradley up front in the 29. The 3 of Chris Cinnamon, his teammate actually. The 3rd spot will be the 53 of CJ Fonda. Michael McKinnon will be running in that 4th spot. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot tonight. He's kind of been one of those silent killers from 14th on the grid. And Ed Osborne, your race to the Clash winner last week at Talladega, he's going to be running in that 5th spot. So good strong showing there for the 42 of Ed Osborne.
Yeah, definitely right there. You know, we've lost track of positions that were gained and lost towards the middle of this pack and towards the end of this pack. And a lot of drivers are out of this race. A lot of drivers have heavy damage on those trucks as well. But Hunter, I said it the last time we went green flag racing, if we finish this race under green, it will be the longest run of this race. But here we go. Bradley will take this green flag down at the corner number 1. It looks like no, we will stay under caution.
Green flag will come out. It's a little crazy of a restart. Oh, we're going to see contact made off of turn 4 between Ed Osborne and Mike McKinnon. We are going to keep it green as the 42 of Ed Osborne is going to get turned on the front stretch and collect other cars with him. Looks like the 99 of Devin Painter as well going to be facing backwards. As well as the 11 of Derek Kilgore as well facing backwards on the front stretch. You're looking at the number 9 right now, Chris Blanchard, currently smoking. Michael McKinnon there in the 13. As we are looking at your replay right now, looking at the view of the 9 car, Chris Blanchard. Looks like the 38 of Dane Hagen just loses it going into turn 1 on his own. There's no one behind him having any time to check up or slow down. we are going to have just 4 laps to go when we can get back to green flag race, and Keith Bradley still out front in that 29 machine. Looking very clean. No damage on that truck. He should have a good advantage on this restart over his teammate in the 3 of Chris Cinnamon, with CJ Fonda running in that 3 spot.
As we await the field to go ahead and get set up once again, this is the conclusion of the Nazareth Clash from the Coliseum here. This is the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. We've been live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. Myself, William Tiller, I've been joined by Hunter Parsons. Brady LeBoff has joined us, but he is working so many hats here tonight. Race control, admin, broadcaster, all sorts of different hats up here in the booth. As well as Adam Fleeger is our producer here tonight, giving you all these excellent shots of the cathedral that is the LA Coliseum. As we creep up towards the end of this race, we invite you to go ahead and like and subscribe our YouTube page at Nazareth 360 Racing Network. But here we go. Bradley will take the green flag down to corner number 1. We have 3 laps to go already, Hunter. Alpha 2 right now. See if we can stay green to the end of this race.
Yeah, Keith Bradley is going to get a nice jump on that restart over Cinnamon. They're going to be coming to 2 to go this time by, I do believe. Nothing going to change them on your top 2. Third is going to be the 53 of CJ Fonda with Kyle Hess in the 4th spot. And I do believe we had a truck blow up going into turn 1 and 2.
1 to go.
There is going to be a wreck in turn 1, but no caution as the white flag, it had come out. Keith Bradley, for the last time, coming through turn 3 and 4. He gets a little high, but he is going to become your Clash winner.
What a big win for Bradley there. Ran top 3 all night long. Picks up the huge race victory here. We have Cinnamon in 2nd, Fonda in 3rd. Heil right there, Hess in 4th. McKinnon's going to get the top 5 right there. Sickles in 6th. Lumpkin in 7th position. 8th will be the 26th of Cody Knott. 9th will be the 99 right there of Painter. And to complete our top 10 right there, the grid failed on me there, but you look at our race winner of Bradley right there, ran inside the top 3 all night long, and what a win it was here at the Coliseum.
Certainly took us a while to get there, but after all said and done, Keith Bradley is going to be burning it down the short straight for sure with his teammate, the 3 of Chris Cinnamon, going 1 and 2 on that one. And as we mentioned, CJ Fonda will be 3rd. He will also be your hard charger from the 21st spot on the grid all the way up to that 3. And he did bring Kyle Hess with him, who started back in 20th up to the 4th spot. So very good running from Upfront Motorsports to go into the season next week at Daytona.
Yeah, huge win for Bradley right there. Kept his cool, stayed patient all race long. Big congratulations to Bradley in that 29 machine as he burns it down here at the Coliseum.
We'll see what burns off more, the motor or his tires, and he just blew that truck up. So very excited, number 29, Keith Bradley, tonight. So we'll be eager to get him here in our broadcast for his interview there.
Well, Hunter, I think I'm going to throw it on over to the boss man himself, Brady LeBoff, for these final interviews of the night. It has been a pleasure to call this race with you. A long race it was tonight from the Coliseum. But I'm looking forward to next week here as we head to Daytona in the dual races here in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Once again, I have been William Tiller. I'll throw it over to you, Hunter and Brady, for these final race interviews and what was an endurance race, a demolition derby style race from the Coliseum.
Thank you, Will. It has been a pleasure running it with you tonight, and we will toss it over to Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Will. We appreciate all the work Will does for us here at Nazareth 360 Racing Network. But he's got to run, so we'll take over and cover for him in the meantime. But man, Hunter, just a great race. I thought, it got kind of sloppy there, at times, but we were able to do it, and now we can say we did it, right? So we're gonna give some time to the top 3 to get get together in the waiting room and whatnot, get settled in, and then we'll start doing interviews.
Yeah, and as Will had mentioned, you wore many different hats tonight. So take us through your perspective of trying to be race control along with being in the broadcast while trying to get everyone calmed down and single file so we can get this race over with.
Yeah, it was just tough at times. Because it's kind of hit and miss. Like you think it's going to go green flag, and then they surprise you, and it doesn't go green flag. Something happens. So it's just trying to give them some motivation there at the end to just hey, let's try to have a good show here at the end. Let's run some laps, green flag laps. So, but at the same time, it's the Clash. It's 9 points. I really wasn't too hard on them with the rule book tonight. We didn't have the X rule. So if this was a normal night, a lot of those things would have came into effect per se. So it was just a fun, basically demolition derby, just to kick off the season.
Controlled chaos almost, if you will. But I do believe we have our top three in the waiting group. So let's bring in our third place finisher, CJ Fonda. CJ,
Hey, CJ, you got a copy?
I do indeed.
Yeah, this is Hunter and Birdie in the booth. Tell us a little bit about your race and what you thought about tonight.
Exhausting would be the first word that comes to mind. And seeing how this is the first time I've ever put any laps to track, I'm absolutely shocked that I even finished this joker. But all in all, it ended up working out well.
Well, good deal. Well, tell us, what are your thoughts on the season? What are your expectations?
My biggest expectations is have Blue Line Racing stack the deck and end up 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of it for season points. And I think we have good sponsors like the ICCC and the comic book guys, and we're going to put on a great show, even though this is the first year that I'm running full time with Nazareth.
Yes, as we see you finish third tonight, a podium finish. I know the boss man on your side, Huck Wigginton's going to be pretty satisfied with that. Anything you could have done maybe to advance your position to maybe second or even win it at the end, or you felt like, third place was a win for you tonight?
Third place was definitely a win, and I think I could have pushed the issue just a little bit, but I'd much rather finish clean to set a precedence that's how I'm going to win a race by knocking somebody out of the way. So I'm very happy with the third place finish and trying to develop that reputation that I'm not going to steal wins with dirty tactics. I'm going to get them fair and square.
I got you. Well, before we let you go, the time is yours, so thank whoever you want.
Got to thank Dolly Parton. Most importantly, the queen of country music. No, I'm just playing. No, seriously, Huck, got to give it to him. Got to give it to our sponsor, the ICCC. I'm a nerd at heart, so having a convention as my sponsor is absolutely ecstatically exciting.
Well, we appreciate you, CJ, and we look forward to you as y'all run the duels at Daytona. I'm not sure exactly if you're in Duel 1 or Duel 2 yet, so we'll wait to see what the lineup entails and if you got any teammates with you. But good luck to you the rest of the season, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, my friend. Same back to you.
All right, Hunter, that was our third place finisher, CJ Fonda. Blue Line Racing, number 53 machine for ICUU. Man, it's a great show for him. I know he's excited about this podium. I know Huck is excited to get his team name out there. It's a new team. They were Red Line last year. They kind of, some stick together. There's some new players on there with Johnny Lawrence and whatnot in the 77 machine this season. So, I'll let you. I think you're getting caught up with our runner-up finish, Mr. Chris Cinnamon. So I'll let you get caught up with him, Hunter.
Yeah, we got Chris Cinnamon here in the number 3 from Upfront Motorsports. Finished in the second spot. Chris, overall, up and down race for you. We saw you up at the front. We saw you get wrecked and have to go down pit road, and ultimately came back up to second. Kind of take us through what you were thinking throughout that endurance race or demo derby, as we keep referencing it.
In all honesty, yeah, I just wanted to get some green flag laps in. I felt like every time you make a pass or get in a rhythm, caution came out right away. So I don't know. I wish we had more green flag laps. I think if that happened, we would have been spread out a little bit more, and it would have been a little bit better racing.
Yeah, I was trying to keep track between Will and I on our longest green flag lap or green flag pace, and I think our max was only 4 laps. So between you, Keith, Chris, and Blake, it surely would have been a good 4 car battle, I believe, as we would have if we would have stayed green to see what you guys would have done. But like you said, it's hard to get into a rhythm if there's a caution, restart, caution, and so forth. So
Yeah, absolutely.
overall,
I actually took tires too on that when I crashed there, lap 20, or got spun out. So I had a little bit more tires than the guys in front of me. It didn't make a huge difference, but definitely helped coming off the turn. And I wanted to use that at the end, but just didn't get a chance.
yeah, that was another thing we were talking about. We figured tires would have been an issue in this race, being such a tight racetrack, leaning on those right front tires. But how hard was it to maneuver on those older tires compared to new tires? Because we didn't really get a run to see that tire fall off.
No, not on the race, anyways. Practice, I got some a little bit medium length runs, and you start losing. The right front was fine. It was actually the rear tires starting to spin a little bit more coming off the corner, and having to catch it or having to pedal the throttle a little bit more as those tires were.
Awesome. Well, the time is yours, and any sponsors or shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to the team up front. Another great showing today. Chris Blanchard, Keith, and myself are all up top 3, 4 the whole night. So good job to you guys. It's going to be a great season. Got a couple new sponsors on the truck. Grant's Tactical is with us. Chris Blanchard towing. He's a new sponsor this year. Glad to have him on the truck. Of course, Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling. They're back with us. And Over the Top Designs. Tons of sponsors to put this team together, and it's going to be a great year.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. We'll let you get going, and we'll bring in your teammate here. So, again, that was your second place finisher, Chris Cinnamon from Upfront Motorsports in the 3. But right now, Brady, we got our race winner, and I'll let you take it away.
Absolutely, Mr. Keith Bradley in that Upfront Motorsports 29 machine. Oh, Keith, man, tell me about the race. I know you started near the front. I can't remember exactly where, because the whole mix-up with Cody Knott and Chris Blanchard being on the front row. So I want to believe you were on the second row. Spent most of your time running second place throughout the race, and then some misfortune there for Chris Blanchard, looking like he kind of lost it there, maybe got too excited back on the gas pedal coming off of the corner there, and you inherited the lead, and you never looked back after that. So just tell us a little bit about that transition throughout the race.
Yeah, I think we started fourth, if I'm not mistaken. Then that issue happened, of course. So I had to dodge that one. Had to dodge a lot of wrecks tonight. I think everybody pretty much expected that there would be crashes tonight. I didn't expect as many as we had. So, I mean, it was just trying to stay in a rhythm, and it was hard to get in a rhythm, then stay in it, and then you'd go 2 laps and the yellow would come out, and it would just knock the rhythm out. I mean, fortunately, I had teammate up front, Chris Blanchard, so we could kind of time the starts and restarts so we didn't get jumped up front. I mean, all in all, I mean, a win's a win, I guess.
Absolutely. And we see you slamming the wall there doing your burnouts. You feel a little rusty? It's been a while since you've done some burnouts, or just a little bit of mishap with the short, track deal?
Honestly, it's the first time my computer's been on in probably a month or so since our last race. So, I mean, yeah, probably a little bit of rust, short track, frustration because we did like, I don't know, 20 green flag laps, it felt like. So,
I got you. Now, you guys, or I know Chris is still on the team. You're on the team. You got some new faces, Chris and Taylor, joining with you guys. So y'all are the two-time defending champion for the team champions, that is. So what are your expectations for yourself, and what are your expectations for the team going into the season 6?
uh, I think the expectations for myself is to make the championship ride. I think that's everybody's goal this season. Get a couple wins, hopefully. The good thing is we the bad thing is we lost Ted. He's going to Xfinity Racing with Nazra. So we had to pull some things together, and I think we picked up 2 guys that could help replace the loss of Ted in hopes to repeat as the team champions, because I feel like we're all pretty good at picking up points when we need them. As a team overall, I think we all 4 of us are going to have a shot at some wins. Like I was telling Blanchard, the good thing is Taylor and Blanchard kind of struggle at places, but where they struggle, that's where me and Chris Cinnamon kind of don't. So we can help them get better at mile and a halfs or short tracks or whatever. So I think it'll be a fun year for sure.
Absolutely. And well, good luck to you the rest of the way. I know you're going to get some cash tonight and 5 playoff points, which is huge for you. Carrying that momentum through speed weeks. Not sure exactly what duel you're in next week. We'll get that lineup fixed up because we got results from the qualifier coming in. We just don't have them on hand just yet. So we'll see you next week, whatever duel that you do race in. But before we let you go, any sponsors or anybody you'd like to thank?
Oh, absolutely. I want to thank Blanchard Towing, Chris Blanchard. He's came on board as a primary sponsor for our whole team this season, which is great. Dan's Top Notch Heating and Cooling, they're back on board from last season. Of course, Over the Top Designs with John Hedrick, and then GT Tactical Hydro Dipping. That's a new sponsor for us this year. So we're real excited to have those guys jump on board, and then of course everybody at Nazra, Hoopty's Garage for sponsoring the league, M1 Race Cars, Pulse Poppers, Blanchard's Towing, of course, Nazar 360, and all of you guys in the booth. I know we greatly appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and good luck to you the rest of the way. And we'll probably see you a time or 2 in the booth again. So good luck to you, Keith.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And Hunter, that was the man of the hour, the guy that won it all tonight. And like I said in the interview, man, he he was a familiar face up front. Started near the front, took over the lead there. It's unfortunate for Chris Blanchard. I know he's probably beating himself up, but nothing to shy away from. He led a lot of laps tonight. He looked good up front. So maybe that's something, that he can work on and fix. You gotta be perfect to win these races. You can't make mistakes. So hopefully he'll get that cleaned up, and I'm sure we'll see Chris in victory lane here sometime this season.
Yeah, and next week we start speed weeks for the duels at Daytona, and then the following week we have the Daytona race. And Blanchard is one of those super speedway aces that we talked about last week, so he'll definitely be one we'll be talking about next week. Maybe trying to get a nice rebound win after letting one slip away tonight. So he'll definitely be one to watch.
Absolutely, and I know it was kind of a long race for us, but nevertheless, we got through it. And like I said, it was a fun night. Clash Speed Weeks begin for this series, so I'm excited for it. I know you are excited to be in the booth with Will Tiller, who's our lead guy here at Nazareth 360 Racing Network. But that's going to close it for us tonight. I appreciate everybody coming out. I want to thank Will Tiller for hosting tonight, Hunter Porsons for coming on in the booth, and Adam Fleeger for producing behind the desk for us. So that'll do it, and we'll hope to see you guys for the dual races next week.